made. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of the plurinational state of Bolivia to introduce the statement by that country's head of state. Thank you very much, President. Dear colleagues, it's a very high honor for me to introduce the report from the constitutional president of Bolivia, Dr. Jeanine Áñez Chávez. Thank you. Thank you very much. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here at this assembly with all of you. Latin America has seen now more clearly than ever that there are two paths ahead of us, and we must make a choice. These two paths before us are, as many thinkers in the region have said, or they are not, rather, as many thinkers of the region have said, paths to the left or the right, nor are they paths towards statism or neoliberalism, socialism or capitalism. The paths are much simpler. One of them is the path to freedom, and the other is the path to oppression. In other words, once again, we are facing the dilemma between democracy and dictatorship. We are faced with the dilemma of our modern era. Have we created states to oppress, or have we created them to ensure freedoms? Ladies and gentlemen, we must now choose. Let us admit that Latin America in general has not overcome authoritarian threats, and let us admit that very important people in political spheres in Latin America are still tempted by authority and power. And as a result, we must accept that in many of our societies, people are running the risk of giving in to new forms of authoritarianism and oppression. And what are these new forms of authoritarianism threatening many of our nations? The answer is simple. They are the aims of our dictatorial and authoritarian populism. There are aims to take over, to hijack, if you will, the public life by dictators and their cronies. I'm not speaking about parties, nor armed forces, nor unions, nor ideologies. In short, I'm not speaking about any organization or institution that has to do with a certain ideal of the common good. I'm speaking about personal and selfish power grabs. These aims of the dictators and their cronies are aimed at the complete capture of the political sphere, taking over our entire culture, our economy, and ultimately taking over people's freedoms. These aims are founded in the notion of privilege, and that is why these aims run counter to the concept of law. It is the system for a few. It is the system for a certain caste. It is the system for the political elite, for a political clan. Latin America has before it a path which offers this authoritarian dictatorship, but there's also another path, one that is different and opposed to this approach, one that respects people, one based on democracy, because in point of fact, Latin America, after its past, now has the option to build political coexistence on the basis of our republican tradition, the tradition of freedom. And this is the path we are following in Bolivia. It is the path to return power to the people. It is the path to give power to the rule of law. It is the path to overcome more than a decade of authoritarianism and dictatorships. It is the path to restore the freedoms of our citizens. And in our proposal to pursue the path of freedom, we will be holding clean and transparent elections on the 18th of October. And we are doing this despite the fact that there was an attempt to halt and sabotage these elections with brutal and violent movements just a few weeks ago There were movements such as blocking roads so that oxygen could not be brought to those suffering from COVID-19. This was an extremely inhuman and cruel way of sowing chaos and terror. Mobilizations which have led to demonstrations which have led to death and damage. We see these as crimes against mankind. However, the Bolivian people, with courage and maturity, stopped this organized and systematic process to overthrow democracy and restore dictatorship in Bolivia. We are a people who have decided to turn the page and leave dictatorship behind. We are a people who no longer want to see governments building palaces or museums built to dictators. We are a people who want democracy, health, jobs, education, and opportunities. That is why we have taken a very important step in Bolivia. That is the decision of our current government to invest 10% of our national budget in health. And that is why we have made enormous efforts in the area of health. In 3 months, we have done more than was done in decades in our country. Thousands of jobs in the healthcare sector and other jobs are forthcoming in hospitals, and we are providing free care to thousands of citizens who are suffering from coronavirus. Similarly, in his proposal to make the Republic a government of the people, a government which follows the law for everyone, and a government which pursues political freedoms, we have founded in Bolivia a system of solidarity and support for our people which is unprecedented in our history. The pandemic has reminded us of how important it is to help each other. We were reminded of this by the pandemic. It is a Christian value for us. We must care for our neighbor, and it reminded us of the moral and ethical duty to help people who we see as our brothers and who believe they are free and are equal. This system to provide assistance and express solidarity is based on providing vouchers to our people. We are giving cash to all of the Bolivian families, particularly people and families who are most in need. We are standing at the crossroads that I have described. The path of freedom and oppression lay before us, and I am very pleased to say in this assembly that Bolivia has chosen the path of freedom. But I don't wish to end this statement without denouncing before the world the abusive and systematic attack carried out by Argentina, the Kirchnerist government, against the institutions and Republican values of Bolivia. I have nothing against the noble people of Argentina. We love this nation as we love a brother. We do not have anything against Peronism. We value that as a political tradition, a popular national tradition. Enormous progress has been achieved in social modernization in Argentina. And that is a tradition we recognize in Bolivia and have done so since the '52 resolution, which was our own revolution through our popular national tradition. We have also made considerable advancement in social justice, nor do we have anything against the governments in Havana simply because we do not share the same ideology. We are respectful and courteous. We recognize that there are relations between two sovereign states and people who are united by history. But in the case of the Argentine government, the situation is different. We are speaking now about the behavior that I've spoken about of dictators and their cronies who use abusive methods to pursue their plans to hold on to power and their positions, which run counter to freedom. What authority does the government of Argentina have to meddle in the foreign policies of Bolivia? And what authority does it have to protect this violent conspiracy of Evo Morales against the Bolivian democracy from Argentine soil? And worse still, what authority does the Argentine government have to offer impunity to Evo Morales when he's facing such serious cases which national and international investigators are pursuing against this former dictator for violations of human rights, sexual violence against girls or underage women, or complicity in political assassinations? We want the Kirchnerist populist government to know that the Bolivian nation is not the private property of anyone. We are a sovereign and respectable people. Bolivia respects itself. Bolivian democracy is respected. The Bolivian people respect themselves. I cannot fail to mention in this statement as well maritime issues. We have appealed to the international community that in these new times that we solve through negotiation and brotherly understanding any critical pending problems between states, such as Bolivia's lack of sovereign access to the Pacific Ocean. Ladies and gentlemen, Bolivia has opted for freedom. We've opted for the Republic. And it doesn't matter who the enemies are. What is important is that democracy, freedom, institutions, and Republican values are here to stay in Bolivia. We invite the world to watch our electoral process. Unlike the process run by Evo Morales last year, our elections will be clean and without fraud. We invite the world to come and look at our systems of vouchers and solidarity and assistance, which we have initiated at this historic point in time, providing aid to those who need it most. We invite the world to visit us because we are a people who, despite so many political, social, economic, and health problems, are now looking forward with freedom, with joy, and with courage. Thank you very much. God bless you. On behalf of the General Assembly, I would like to thank the constitutional president of the plurinational state of Bolivia for the statement she's just made. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Ukraine to introduce the statement by